Okay? All right. So, with Rose Blanche,
Yes.
right? We're going to use the same graphic organizer today. As I read the next book, we're going to be trying to really focus in and identify on the historically accurate elements of this book and learn as much about this period of history as we can through the story. Okay? So as we're reading, I might stop you here and there and ask you what kinds of things you're jotting down. We'll share our resources here. We'll share our brains on this topic. And we're also going to probably be stopping and starting and doing some of our key questions along the way as well. Okay? All right, the rest of the group, I need you to turn your voices down, please, because we're taping up here. Okay, so here we have Henry's Freedom Box. First question out of the box, no pun intended. What are you noticing about the cover? What can we learn about the story and about the historical elements from the cover?
He looks like a slave, maybe.
Okay, and the fact that we're talking about a freedom box, freedom, okay, that could clue us into that time period, right?
There's a boy on
Okay,
there.
nice. It's a little boy, young boy, right?
He's, it's a large yard he's in.
Okay,
It's
a large yard, or maybe even
He's
what?
outside.
Maybe even a field. Could be a plantation. Good, Jack. What else?
It won an award.
And it won an award, which tells us what?
It's a good book.
It's going to be a good book. This is a Caldecott Award. What are Caldecotts given for? Who remembers?
Picture book.
Picture book, exactly. So it's the illustrations in here that won the award, and you're going to probably understand why as we start going through it, okay? Okay, here we go. Henry Brown wasn't sure how old he was. Henry was a slave, and slaves weren't allowed to know their birthdays. Do you think that's historically true?
Yeah.
Is that an accurate statement, do you think?
Yeah.
So where on your sheets are you going to jot that little fact down? Yeah.
Probably the plot. Historical accurate plot.
Historically accurate column, yep. Under the characters. Okay. Or it could be under the plot too, because that's a factual thing about that time period that probably will play into the story. Henry and his brothers and sisters worked in the big house where their master lived. Henry's master had been good to Henry and his family, but Henry's mother knew things could change. Do you see those leaves blowing in the wind? They're torn from the trees like slave children are torn from their families. What does she mean by that? She's comparing the leaves falling off the trees to slaves being torn from their families. What do you think that means, Jack?
They either could be moving from plantation to plantation, or they could be moving from working in the house to working in the field.
Okay. So they could change their location, but they're referring to children torn from their families.
Or they could be like if they're in a family, they could be taken away and put in a plantation.
Yeah, like how leaves get taken away from the trees.
Okay. So the wind takes the leaves away from the trees. Who could take children away from their families in that world, in that time in our history?
The white people.
Okay, the slave owners could separate the families, couldn't they? Because they, quote unquote, owned them at the time, right? Okay. Do you think that really happened? It happened, unfortunately, a lot. Okay, so that would be something historically accurate. And what category do you think that information might fall under?
Plot or characters.
Under the plot, probably. Okay. One morning, the master called for Henry and his mother. They climbed the wide staircase. The master lay in bed with only a head above the quilt. He was very ill. He beckoned them to come closer. Some slaves were freed by their owners. Henry's heart beat fast. Maybe the master would set them free. But the master said, "You are a good worker, Henry. I'm giving you to my son. You must obey him and never tell a lie." Henry nodded, but he didn't say thank you, because that would have been a lie. Okay. Anything here that we've learned about this time period? Yeah.
It was when they still had slaves.
Yeah. Our characters here were slaves, and this is the slave owner, right?
And it was a long time ago.
What was happening on this page, though? What was the event that took place here?
Their master was getting sick, so they
have to go to his brother's house.
Okay, and are they just going to visit?
It said his
No.
son.
Are they both going? Anna, are they both going?
Yes.
Yeah,
No, just Henry.
Just Henry's going.
it said his son.
Okay. Henry is going to live with his son. His son will be his new master.
Yeah.
Right? So now Henry's being taken away, like the leaves being taken from the trees. Henry's being taken from his family and given to another slave owner. Okay? Do you think that really happened?
Yeah.
Okay. It happened in history. That's a factual event that took place. So that's something you're going to add to your plot list. Okay? And I don't know if you noticed on the front cover, this actually is a true story from the Underground Railroad. So this is a historically, accurate book. This is a real person.
So do you think we'll have anything for the fictionalized info?
That's a really good question. Do you think there might be anything fictionalized in the story?
The guy being sick. Or maybe the guy.
Well, these people aren't like the same exact people. Like they're probably fictionalized people.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, he had an owner, right?
Oh yeah, but
yeah,
that
like,
time.
might
I-
not
like,
be
maybe
that
he
exact.
didn't look like that.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
It's hard to know, right? Okay, because that was a very long time ago. All right, here we go. Later that day, Henry watched a bird soar high above the trees. Free bird, happy bird, Henry thought. Henry said goodbye to his family. He looked across the field, and the leaves swirled in the wind. So again, they're referencing the leaves falling from the trees, right? Just as Henry is being taken from his family. Do you see the connection there?
Yeah.
Okay. What else do you notice on here that would be historically important for us to understand about that time period? Pictures teach us a lot. What do you think?
Maybe the horse and wagon.
Yep, horse and wagon. Didn't they have cars back then?
Nope.
No, they didn't. That's how they traveled. Who was in the wagon? What do you notice? Who else is in the wagon?
They're slaves.
Looks like